It's suddenly week 3 of the fantasy football season, 2024. What are your biggest impressions heading into week 3, from the last couple weeks?
Well, I would say, everyone's going to talk about the Saints, right? Everyone's going to talk about because people have counted that team out for, God knows how long. They don't think that, Derek Carr's up to snuff and all these things. And again, like Clay Kubiak changing the culture offensively, they've just been going bananas. The last 3 games, I want to say, because going back to last year's last game, they've scored over 40 points. So they've averaged over 40 points. Not only last two games, but going back to last year. So that's one. Another thing is that I am really looking forward to seeing if Malik Neighbors can really get to that next tier of receivers. He had a great game against Washington, and people were expecting high things from him because he was going 3rd round. Some people's 2-3 turns sometimes. Yeah. I was like, man, that is high. But I'm looking forward to seeing what Malik Neighbors can do in terms of like productivity. Can Daniel Jones really be that guy to get him the ball consistently like he did this past week? Another thing that I am very proud of myself on is a couple of things. A couple of my guys have just been tearing it up. Kyler Murray, Devon Achane, like those guys right there. I've pounded the table on constantly since July, and it feels good. I'm not taking a victory lap just yet. Definitely not taking a victory lap just yet. Just bear with me on that. But I am excited about what they have been doing so far. Kyler Murray really looking like a passing quarterback now. He's not looking like just like that, like dual threat-ish or just running constantly. He actually looks like a quarterback out there, and that is scary. Because again, what I said about Kyler was that I thought he could, if he could put up 30 passing touchdowns, he can really not only do great things for you fantasy-wise, but Arizona is going places. And surprisingly, defensively, they haven't been too bad. They literally shut down the Rams this past week, like in a game where, again, Cooper Kupp left the game and stuff. Well, I'm sure we'll talk about that. But it's, again, I'm not too shocked about the Arizona as a team, but I love what I saw from Kyler. And in Achane, everybody pretty much was like, oh, Achane's not going to hold up this. He's not a 3-down workhorse, stuff like that. Okay. He don't have to be. I told him he doesn't have to be. Yeah. Literally, all he has to do is get a few more touches than he did last year. And this past game against Buffalo, even though they lost the game and even though they lost Tua, man, you got to be excited about Achane. And anyone that has Achane, you better not trade him right now because look, I'm telling you, it can really only get better from here.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. I would say those are my 2 most rostered players when it comes to quarterback and running back. So I'm with you, man. I love what they're doing. Stay healthy, though. Stay healthy because this has been a brutal one. Any other players that are surprising you when it comes to overproduction or underproduction?
I would say that from a underwhelming right now, there's a couple of guys right now. I mean, if it wasn't for Drake London getting that touchdown late on Monday night against the Eagles, I think we might be talking something similar in that category for Drake London not being this, not being that. But I'm interested to see how this Atlanta team, builds this momentum off, because with Drake London, we're talking about a guy that everybody's talked about him, since January of him being a alpha receiver. So there was flashes of that definitely last night against the Eagles secondary. That is, they have their moments, but it's also they have their moments. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Atlanta can do, because of that, if London pits Bijan, I'm saying, especially Atlanta's not only going to win the division, but they're going to be a team that can definitely look decent for playoffs. For Bijan, from a fantasy perspective, another guy that was he's going to be a guy that I'm drafting number 1 or number 3, wherever he goes, because that's what I want. And so far, again, stay healthy. Yeah, he's a guy that I took number 1 in one of my home leagues in a 10 team, because I was because I couldn't take CMC, and I'm not a guy that looks to predict for injury. It's more about just, again, the age, the overall wear and tear usage. There was a lot to factor in when it came to that number 1 pick, and so far it looks okay. I'm not an oracle. I'm definitely not. But
So far, so good, though. So
so
far, so
far,
good.
exactly. So far, so great, I should say.
There you go. So who are you targeting on waiver wire this week?
It's tough because the Kansas City situation, I smartly picked up Kareem Hunt in some places that were allowed you to pick up free agents
Yeah.
Before they sign with players on Sleeper. So I got Kareem Hunt a couple places already. And he ended up signing with the Kansas City Chiefs. So I don't know what that situation is going to entail because Carson Steele is a guy everybody's going to be talking about. Everybody named Mama is going to pick up. But it's one of those classic pickups, classic traps where it's like, I'm picking up the guy that, do we really know he's going to be the RB1? Is there going to be a timeshare? I literally see this as a committee. The Kansas City Chiefs is classic for doing that constantly. Andy Reid as well. If you know the history, like he's classic for doing that. So I don't see this as you pick up Carson Steele. It's not so cookie cutter. It's not you pick up Carson Steele or your number one claim on Steele, and it's such a easy ride. It's more of I like just getting a share of this backfield and seeing where it goes. Because if it doesn't work out, there's always someone I can just drop. And then it ends up being a two-headed monster, three-headed monster, then yeah, like no one's really winning, and now you're just really guessing on a regular basis. That usually is only for deeper league formats. But a guy I'm looking to pick up, if he hasn't been in more picked up in leagues, I really like DeMarcus Robinson. I have 35% of him in best ball. And now he's gotten his opportunity to not only really do things that he was doing last year towards the back half of the year, but also, again, now there's no Cooper Kupp. Now there's no Puka Nacua for at least 6 weeks for both of them. So what's going to happen with these Rams? Like, are they going to just, I don't think they're just going to just die down. McVay's too smart. He does things with less. So I honestly think DeMarcus Robinson is the guy that you want for the Rams. Another guy that I told people to constantly pick up and they better had is Rico Dowell. Rico is someone that if he's still on your waiver wire come for waivers and stuff like that, or even after for some reason, make sure you stash him and find out what happens, because I've done that already in some of my leagues. Because look, the Dallas situation has to change. Zeke is not, I'm not going to say he's washed, but he's only serviceable. He's limited. He's only, used so much. Like Rico could be one of those guys we talk about at the end of the year that is that league winner that we should have picked up week 2, week 1, week 2, should have stashed, never did. I'm stashing him. Another guy that's on a best ball team. That's pretty much what I got for the moment. In terms of guys I really want to get, there's some other guys that are on top of things. It just depends on what people's needs are going to be.
Sure.
But if you had a number one claim, please don't use it on Carson Steele. This could come and bite me in my butt, and that's okay. But the logic behind it makes too much sense. I just feel like the Kareem Hunt signing, like if Kareem Hunt didn't get signed by Kansas City, I would feed a little bit more into this Carson Steele thing, because that would show that they have more confidence in him than most people would think. But again, it's like I could easily see Kareem Hunt, Carson Steele sharing the 1-2, backfield for a second down, and then P. Ryan coming in for third down to either pass block or overall just take some check down work. So it's I like Kareem Hunt as well as a pickup too, just to see what happens. But if nothing's really happening, you could drop it for somebody else.
Yeah, and don't spend too much if you're working with Fab.
Fab's totally different story.
Probably.
If
any other bold takes for week 3 coming up?
Good old bold takes. I would say that, man, I don't know. I wouldn't say it's bold, but I got to rock with my squad. The Jets are a -6.5 favorite at home against the Patriots for Thursday night. Man, I have to take them in the points because I just believe in my team too much. That's not exactly bold, but whatever.
No, it's good. Your confidence in it is bold. I love it.
I really think so for this week. I mean, look, I think Deontay Johnson is someone that hasn't got a lot of love yet, and I expect him to get a lot of love this week from Andy Dalton. So he's one of my bold starts of the week this week. I think they finally figure it out here, because with Deontay Johnson, you didn't give him this money in the offseason just for him to, get a few catches, and you bench Bryce Young. So it's classic like QB finding, the people that he needs to get the ball to. So him, Adam Thielen could be sneaky starts this week as well. And also the kid, Jatavion Sanders, keep on your watch list. Because if Andy Dalton starts doing Andy Dalton things, being game manager, finding the right talented guys in the field, Tavion Sanders, because the tight end market right now is incredibly bad.
Yeah.
Tavion Sanders could easily be one of those guys that he won't win you a league per se, but if he becomes one of those guys that's alpha, look out.
It's good. I love it. I love it. Hey, well, it's mid-September. Fast forward into February. Who's winning the Super Bowl? Who do you got? Who do you got in the Super Bowl?
Oh man. Oh boy. Okay. who's winning the Super Bowl after 2 weeks? Right. Man, this is tough. It sounds weird right now to say, but right now I got in the Super Bowl. I say the Eagles are in the Super Bowl.
Okay,
it's crazy to say. I mean, I think the Chiefs are going back.
Okay.
I think the Chiefs are back, and we've said this on TBQ before. It's like, would we be really shocked with the Chiefs? Last year was the year I felt the Chiefs weren't gonna win it all, because they had things that were going against them too much. But defensively, they held up not only throughout the whole season, but they were the backbone of the team going to the Super Bowl. I think this is the year. I know they lost Hollywood, and that's unfortunate wrinkle that they can't add to their offense now, but they got Xavier Worthy. They got a guy that can still be the field stretcher. Mahomes just has to figure, that there's going to be teams that are going to give him their best to him every week. And Mahomes is going to figure it out. He had a bad game against Cincinnati at home. He had only 150 pass yards, 2 interceptions. He was just looking not great. I think it was one of, if not the lowest, game for him from a passing yards perspective in his career. So, just look, and they still won the game. Still won the game. Yeah. So, I honestly think the Chiefs really might be destined. That's not a sexy pick, but I think the Chiefs are really destined to win it all again and become the first ever 3-peat NFL Super Bowl champs.
There you go. There you go. How about a fantasy MVP? Who do you think is going to be at the end of the season the MVP of the fantasy world?
You know what? It's like picking between your kids right now, Kevin.
Yeah, no, I get it.
All right, let's do the red pill, blue pill thing. In the red pill, I got Bijan. Blue pill, Achane. You guys decide. But no, I'm gonna pick Bijan because I think Atlanta is really, everything's working well for them from a schedule perspective, from a offensive change perspective, from a workhorse perspective. Bijan is usually one of those guys that is a unicorn because these days the NFL doesn't use their running backs like workhorse-ish. But people are gonna ask me, are you worried about Tyler Algier and stuff? It's like, I'm really not. I actually want him to mix in a little bit more because Bijan doesn't need to, have certain carries, whatever. Yeah. When it comes to the red zone, no, give Bijan the ball. Like, don't give Tyler Algier the ball. But in terms of just fantasy MVP, I think Bijan's gonna be it. If I were to pick the runner-up, be Achane. Told everybody from the start in July, I was like, you guys are bugging that you're not grabbing Achane sooner. You're letting him fall to the 3rd round, 4th round for me. Thank you. It's like a gift. But I was literally getting Achane like in our Brian Dawkins league for the overall league that we're in for the Legends League. Achane, I grabbed like 203 or something like that because I was checking the back end. It sucked. I got Barkley and I got Achane now. So
hey man, let's go. I love it. I love it. No, that's good. No, I think those are some great picks. The Falcons fantasy playoff schedule is phenomenal. So I think Bijan's going to be a hero to a lot of people. If you can get to the playoffs with him, he's going to take you to the title for sure.